You're Let's do it again. You're Yo, what's good, fam? Gino Red is back up in here, and this is gonna be my wrap up of my first impressions of the Google Pixel Fold. And of course, what you see on your screen right now is more than the Pixel Fold. We have a special guest. We have my favorite artist in rap, Daniel Dumile, aka Metal Fingers, aka the Mad Villain, aka Victor Vaughn, aka MF Doom. All right, your time's up. Go over here. Go over here. Back in your corner. Back in your corner. You know, I don't want you still in the spotlight. Spotlight is on these two right here. So the actual special guest is the Tom Brown Edition Z Fold3. And what we're doing in this video is just giving some physical comparisons of the two devices. We are not going into any software. We're not going into cameras right now. Going to save a lot of those things for videos to follow. But for today's slew of recording, we are going to go into the physical differences of these two devices. So, just to start off, we're going to get this elephant out of the way. I know y'all been burning to see. You have our power buttons swapped with our volume between each devices. Now, if you saw the first impressions, I actually like it on the Pixel Fold as compared to a Pixel Slab because it's appropriate. Now, when it comes to a Z Fold, it's in an appropriate spot. The volume's in an appropriate spot. It's a little gymnastics to reach it, but it feels appropriate there. So, that's the first thing I wanted to pop off there. So, as you can see, we have a 25 point something by 9 aspect ratio on the front screen. This is a 17.4 by 9 aspect ratio on the Pixel Fold. And we're going to be saying fold a lot in this video. Now, I know this is not the Z Fold 4 that's current. However, not too many differences, and it was not compelling enough for me to upgrade from this. If I had a regular Z Fold 3, maybe. That bronze was looking kind of nice. Even though it wasn't red, it was bronze, but it was looking kind of nice, but it ain't topping a Tom Brown. And plus, you ain't trading this in. This is a collector's item. Because I'm not getting the value that this would be worth at, and I'm not selling it. But anyway, we're going to start at the bottom. As you can see, you have a larger speaker grill on the Z Fold. You know what? I'm done saying Z Fold. Galaxy Fold. So we have a bigger speaker grill on the Galaxy Fold. Who's to say if the sound coming out of the speakers are already different or if it's better here because of the grills? We will find out in a later video. So we have the USB-C type port. And I set that backwards. So we have that port. We have one microphone on the bottom here. We have 3 microphones on the bottom of the Pixel Fold. We also have the SIM tray slot on the bottom, as opposed to the SIM tray slot right here on the Galaxy Fold. Yes, I'm going to take the Z out because it's too much. So now we're at the top. You have your 2 speaker grills. You have 3 microphones on the top here, 1 microphone top here, and your 5G antenna window is there. Your 5G antenna window is here on the Galaxy Fold. Let me catch my breath. Now we have 3 camera array. We have a triple setup for the cameras on the back of each, boasting your usual wide, ultra wide, and telephoto with the flash. On the Galaxy Fold, the microphone is going to be hard to focus on. It's that little slit right there. I wouldn't say it's the most efficient, but I guess it gets the job done. For this guy, your microphone is dead where you can see it. Now, the differences, there are differences on the cameras as far as hardware spec. 12 megapixels for all 3 on the Z Fold 3, where it's 50 megapixels for the regular wide on the Z Fold 4. I don't remember the spec for the other two cameras on the Z Fold 4. Over here, you got a 48 megapixel main wide camera, and then the ultra wide and the telephoto are 10.8 megapixels, where on this device and the Z Fold 4, you only get a 3 times optical zoom. Pixel Fold, 5 times optical zoom. Hinges again, Samsung branding. My bad, guys, there was a spider right there. There's spiders all over the place. We have Samsung branding on the Galaxy Fold. No branding at all on the Pixel Fold. Am I missing anything? Nothing but the inside screen, because let's face it, we can beat up the outside screens all day. I'm rocking with that aspect ratio. And the reason why, in my first impressions, I've been saying I've been waiting for this since 2020. That's when the rumors started for this device and how it was going to be designed versus this. And I was never, I repeat, never a fan of how tall and thin this display is. However, in a pinch, it gets the job done. So I'm not hating on it. It is just a preference that I just don't like it. Never did, never will. This is where I will feel home at. I know that for a fact. If you have not seen the size of my other phones that I'm currently using, don't put me on blast. Let's get that out of here. As you can see, I prefer the smaller size, and shout outs to the Pixel 5. Still rocking it. If you have questions on that Pixel 7 Pro, I had to let that go because of issues that I've had last year, which up until now I've been dealing with. But we here now, and I'll probably pick up a 7 Pro on the used market just to have, and because that Hazel is just irresistible, and to compare to this, you know what I'm saying? Give you guys some content, because I got a lot of making up to do to you guys. But anyway, getting off track. Inside screens is where we need to go. I don't know why I have the Galaxy Fold powered off, but I honestly should power this off right now. So that's what I'm going. Oh yeah, I forgot I haven't had that set yet. So we are going to power this off for now. So we don't need it. So let's sit down and let's compare the default aspect ratio. The default meaning from closed to open, which is what most people are going to do. This is how it is. Now you're going to look at these and say, whoa, okay. They're different, yeah. But if you do this, because the screen sizes on these are 7.6 on both. Aspect ratios are almost exactly the same. I'm sure that there's some millimeters off between the two because the aspect is slightly different, but they're basically the same. In real world usage, or I should say real world visual, they're about the same. Or you could also do this. And see, this is why I've been waiting for this phone, because when it comes to the Galaxy Fold, this is the orientation I always want to use this at. However, it closes like that. So which means everything defaults to this. And this inner screen has gotten the job done a lot. But I always want to put it like this. And putting it like this, the upside, your stereo speaker setup is there. I don't default it to this, meaning that the camera is there for this flex mode. I don't really like that because the speakers are down here, but if you're on the table, sure. But speaking from my experience, this is how I always default it. You're covering up your camera, so if you want to do this, covering up the camera, whatever, no big deal, I guess. But you're covering up microphones, no big deal, I guess. But the problem with that is a lot of the apps are not set to default to this, which is what this tablet, this foldable is having issues with right now, because with Android, with developers and apps, they are not set to use this aspect ratio. The advantage of this device, though, is that in the skin that Samsung has developed, One UI, you have extra tweaks and features not available on other devices that Samsung makes to make apps fill up the screen or force it into a multi-window type of app. Granted, like I said, it's gotten me by, and it's been nice, but it's not the default. That's where this comes in. I've been wanting to have a phone that defaults to this orientation. Now, obviously, with Google doing it, there's going to be software issues, because you got to look at this as the default first-gen foldable for everybody. Why do I say everybody? Because Google is the developer of Android. They want to keep their stuff as vanilla as possible, meaning all the extra features and labs you get in One UI, you're not going to get on Android, the vanilla Android, although this is not vanilla Android. This is a pixel launcher, Google's implementation on top of standard stock, true stock Android. But that being said, because Google is now in this arena themselves as a first party, they're going to start tweaking the operating system on a base level to cater to foldables and tablet devices, like the Pixel tablet. When it comes to having apps being made for foldable devices and tablets, it is up to the developers of those apps to cater to these screens. It is not up to the OEM to do that. Samsung did it because that's what the people want. Samsung did it because they know they wanted to sell their devices. They had a whole leap start, because in the beginning, with the original Galaxy Fold, this was not the case. We were not here. We were here on the Galaxy Fold, the original Galaxy Fold. It took Samsung generations to get it right. But the problem with that is, this is Samsung's world, not the entire Android world. So, what I'm liking in this whole thing with apps not being developed for foldables, and it's really the biggest thing that I like, is that people are being vocal. Granted, a lot of the vocality of those complaints are aimed at the wrong vendor. They're aiming it at Google, when it should be aiming it at the developers of those apps. Once the developers start saying, oh, this OEM has a foldable, that OEM has a foldable, maybe we should develop our apps in a way that it will work for all foldables across the board. Because remember, the developers aren't doing it for the Galaxies exclusively. That is Samsung going in and saying, we'll do it for you, where it should be the developers doing it in the first place, so that their base app will work with any foldable that's developed on Android. Now, I know that sounded like a bit of a rant, but I feel like that's something that needs to be said and needs to be understood. So I have to say that clearly and bluntly. Now, we're going to switch gears, because I want to wrap this video up, because I know it's probably long already. I'm not looking at my viewfinder. I actually needed to take a seat and rest my ass, but what I'm going to do is going to hurt you. And that's fine. This is my device, not your device. if any of you guys were eagle-eyed, you'll notice something's missing from the Z Fold 3. There's no screen protector on this screen. I hate those built-in screen protectors. And this is not my first generation of foldable. I had the Z Fold 2 and I did the same thing that I did to the Z Fold 3 that I am about to do to the Pixel Fold. And that's take the goddamn default screen protector off. I know it's gonna cringe. I know it's gonna cringe you people out. But it's something that's going to be done. I even kept a fingernail just for this moment. And I know a lot of people who aren't used to foldables as long-time users are like, oh no. Even some of the long-times gonna say, oh no, don't do it. Don't shut your ass. Shout outs to Tyler. Y'all know who he is if y'all know who he is. I'm taking this off. Now, one thing people are thinking, oh my God, he's going to destroy his device, or oh my God, he just voided his warranty. False. This does not void Google's warranty. And in fact, if you ever needed to replace it, just hit Google up, get yourself a replacement. And now I'll be able to enjoy my screen. And it's exactly as I expected. It feels more glass-like, and it's getting a lot less oils from my fingertips. And we're gonna power this bad boy on, just to let you guys see how the screen reacts to me pulling off the screen protector. And look at that. I put a default pin on here. I can't wait to install Android 14, because if you put 6 digits in as your passcode, just like on every single other device, when you put your pin in, it'll just go in. You don't have to hit enter. You don't have to hit that arrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. It sucks that it's only defaulting to 6 digits for that, but it is what it is for now. We'll complain, and we will get Google to say, hey, you know what? Y'all can have your 4 digits. As you can see, no issues with the screen. No issues with the screen. So please, please, please do not panic. It is all good in the hood. There's a subtle animation when closing it. Pay attention to that widget. You see, actually, pay attention to all the icons. You see, folding it. Let me see if I need to make it closer. As you can see, when you start to close it, they shift towards the middle. It shifts towards the middle. That's a pretty neat little detail. This video has been almost 19 minutes already. Word. Alright. I wanted to make this short, and I guess this is my version of short. Sorry, Doom. Get back in the frame. Okay, so let me see. Anything else I wanted to talk about right now? Because there are other things that I have thoughts on, but I'm going to experience the device more to get into it. I think those are my final initial thoughts on the Google Pixel Fold and physical comparisons with the only other vendor doing foldables in the United States. I'm going to have fun, y'all. Shout outs to Team Gino for sponsoring today's video, which is brought to you by water. Drink that shit. I had to throw that in there somewhere. Anyways, taking enough of you guys' time. Hope you had fun. I had fun. I'm enjoying myself. Feels great out here. It's hot. I'm in the shade. It feels good. It's humid. It feels good. Again, it feels good because I like being outside. Get outside. Alright then, guys. It's been Gino Red. Have a damn good one.